Hello everyone, my name is Zach. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to be filming my first ever book haul because Booktube law states you have to film at least one. This book haul represents the start of a book buying ban in which I am not allowed to buy any books until I finish 10 books on my physical TBR, and I'm only allowed to buy sequels after that until I finish 20. This particular book haul spans most of spring semester, so there's a lot of books here, so let's just get going. The first book I picked up, I actually received for my birthday, and that is this book on Andy Warhol. As you can see, I'm kind of a big Andy Warhol fan, but I don't know that much about him, so my sister was nice enough to pick this book up, and it's got both pictures and some information on some of his art, and I would assume his life, so I'm pretty excited to check this out because I do love Andy Warhol, and so I should probably know a thing or two about him. The next book I picked up is I'll Sleep When I'm Dead, The Dirty Life and Times of Warren Zevon. This is the biography of Warren Zevon, who was a pianist. You might know him from the song Werewolves of London. I've been kind of obsessed with Warren Zevon recently, so I saw this at my local used bookstore and decided to pick it up to learn a little bit more about it. Next up, we have two books by C.S. Lewis. I mentioned in my new to Booktube tag that I'm a big fan of Lewis and that I wanted to read more of his books to see if maybe I would consider him my favorite of all time. So first I picked up The Problem of Pain. This is one of his theological books where he discusses the idea of how can God exist and allow pain in the world. I find this kind of a fascinating argument about atheism versus theism with this kind of like a central debate topic, so I was just kind of interested to see what C.S. Lewis would say, so I figured it'd be kind of an interesting read. While we're on the topic of theism, I just want to quickly go over the book Twitter drama. So for those of you that are blissfully unaware, a booktuber recently on Twitter decided to post some Christian anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric and claim that she was just trying to save lives and she didn't want blood on her hands. I just wanted to state for the record that yes, I am a Christian, but I am a non-denominational Christian because I personally have hated the fact that every church I've been a part of has said things against the LGBTQ plus community. I find it a little bit hypocritical to tell people that love your neighbor and that love and acceptance are the most important things in the world, and then turn around and tell someone they're going to hell because they like someone of the same gender. I just find that kind of dumb. I just want to say all that just to clear the air and to clarify in no uncertain terms that I welcome anyone of any gender or sexuality to my channel as long as you're nice to me and to my viewers. All that being said, let's talk about the other C.S. Lewis book I bought, and that is The Great Divorce. I became interested in this book when I did a paper on the screw tape letters for a religious studies class I was in, and they mentioned this was kind of like the screw tape letters in that it's like a fiction work set in kind of the Christian mythos, if you can consider it that. I'm just going to read you the blurb on the back of the book and let you be sold the same way I was sold. So, the timeless novel about a bus ride from hell to heaven. I'm into it. The next book I picked up I found for sale at my campus bookstore, and that is Dragon Teeth by Micheal Crichton. I've watched two movies from Micheal Crichton, Jurassic Park and The Andromeda Strain, and I very much enjoyed both, so I've been wanting to check out Micheal Crichton's books for a while, and I figured since this was a hardback that I could get for $5 on sale, why not just grab it? So I'm excited to see what this is all about. So this next book, there's a bit of a story to. I was browsing the religious studies section. I was looking at C.S. Lewis stuff, seeing what books I wanted to pick up. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw a book and I said, did I just see what I thought I just saw? And yes, I did. I found a book called The Penguin Book of Hell. Upon further inspection, this is a collection of analyses and essays on depictions of hell in different classical works of literature. And I found that to be super interesting. I'm very excited to read this. It did say that it includes analysis of Dante's Inferno, which I own but haven't read yet, so I need to read that before I read this. But I find the depiction of hell kind of fascinating, so an entire book about the different ways hell is depicted. I said, hell yes. Alright, so this next group of books I traded in some old religious studies books and some old Stephen King books I didn't want, and I picked up a group of science fiction books. The first two I picked up were the last two books in the Star Wars X-Wing series. This follows a group of pilots through different missions, and it takes place after Return of the Jedi. There is actually one more book in the series, but it takes place way after the original series, and the spine doesn't match the series. After 9 straight books of having the same style of cover and the same spine, they decided to release a 10th book with a different spine and a different style of cover, and I don't want that on my bookshelf because I don't need that kind of negativity in my life. So for me, this is the last book in the series, so I now own them all. The second book I picked up from that trade was The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert A. Heinlein. The Moon is a Harsh Mistress is considered one of, if not Robert A. Heinlein's best works. Robert A. Heinlein, if you didn't know, is a very important author in the history of science fiction. I've read some of his books and I really like his books. And on top of this being one of his best, this also talks about some ideas of libertarianism, which I identify politically as libertarian, so I'm kind of excited to see that reflected in a science fiction work, and so hopefully I like it. The next book I picked up in that trade was The Conqueror's Heritage by Timothy Zahn. I picked up the first book in this trilogy a while back. I picked it up because the ships here remind me of the Klingon ships from Star Trek mixed with the X-Wings from Star Wars, and since I love both Star Trek and Star Wars, I had to have it. I haven't actually read the first book yet, but now once I finish it, I have the sequel, so I'm happy with that. The last book I picked up in that trade is Choices of One by Timothy Zahn. This is a sequel to Star Wars Allegiance, which I read last month for Audiobookathon, and so I'm kind of excited to revisit the characters that we saw in the last book and see kind of what happens to them next, so I'm excited to read this. Timothy Zahn's Star Wars books are usually really, really good, so I have high hopes for this one. The next book I picked up was a recommendation from Maddie the Book Pusher. I've been wanting to get into graphic novels for a little while, and one that she recommended that caught my eye is called I Hate Fairyland, which apparently is about a woman who is stuck in a little girl's body in Fairyland, which she hates. And just looking at this cover, which is absolutely amazing, I thought this would be a great place to start for graphic novels. I love the idea of like kind of a Willy Wonka-esque world where it seems nice and whimsical on the surface, but then it's like horribly twisted, like the boat scene from Willy Wonka, like, you know what I'm talking about? But so the plot sounded fun, and just from that cover I was like, okay, I gotta try this out. So hopefully in the future I will have a video about trying several graphic novels. Another one I plan to try is Saga, which I know my local library has, so I'll probably be getting it there because your boy does not have money for all those issues. But for now, I guess I'll just stick with this. Speaking of Maddie the Book Pusher, she mentioned that she was wanting to do a read-along of the Night Circus, so I decided to pick that up. So Maddie, if you're watching, please make that read-along happen. I'm excited. Put me in, coach. I'm ready. I don't really know much about this book going in. I know there's a magician's like competition or battle or something, and I would assume there's a circus involved, you know, seeing how it's called the Night Circus, but I kind of like going in as blind as possible for books. I like being surprised, so I'm excited to see what this has in store for me. And the last 2 books are 2 of Booktube's favorite books. Yes, I have not read these. Please do not kill me in the comments. Obviously, if I bought them, I'm planning on reading them, so don't yell at me. The first of those 2 books is Illuminate Files by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. Everyone talks about how great this book is, and seeing how it's science fiction, I had to know what the fuss is about, and just flipping through this looks like it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited to be the very last person on Booktube to read it. I might title my impressions or review video that the last man on Booktube reads Illuminae. But I love science fiction, and everyone says this is some of the best science fiction out right now, so I'm excited to see if it lives up to the hype. And our very last book is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Everyone and their mother talks about how great this book and its sequel are, and so I'm going to check it out. I'm going to see. This better live up, guys. Y'all hyped this up way too much. So there you all have it. There's my spring semester book haul. I hope you all enjoyed. Feel free to drop a like if you like this video. Feel free to subscribe if you feel so inclined. And I will see you next time. The first of those 2 books is The Illuminate Files by Jamie. Who's Jamie?